Welcome to my channel. Today I have my very first special guest, Lauren. She is so near and dear to my heart, and so we decided that we're gonna do a video today, and we have 5 tips for you about babysitting. All right, let's get right into it, guys. So we want to talk to you about babysitting. Right now, always,
and right now.
I guess, and right now, people now more than ever want babysitters.
Always.
We have some tips for you about babysitting from both sides, so the babysitter and the parent. Lauren is my personal babysitter. I call her my own. She took care of my kids. I have 4 kids, and so she's very well experienced, and we wanted to talk to you guys about those tips from both sides of the point. So, jumping right into it, we have tip number 1, and that's gonna be consistency with rules. So now this was Lauren's idea, and it was such a great idea because when we sat down to talk about this, we were like, okay, what should we talk about? And one of the biggest things she said was the consistency in enforcing the rules in the home. And so we want that consistent adult dynamic, basically. So when the parent leaves, then the kids are like, oh, great, mom and dad are gone, so I get to just wreak havoc now that she's gone, and then make the babysitter's life miserable. Lauren talked about the consistency, so take it away.
So the consistency is important, and so that the kids don't think it's okay that when the parents are gone, they can do whatever the heck they want. Annalie gave me guidelines saying, hey, if my kids do this, you can put them in timeout. You can send them to the room. You have that consistency, that structure in the home, which makes the kids happy, makes the parents happy, makes you happy, makes everything so much easier.
It really does. And the one big thing about it is, like from the parent, I sat down with her and was like, hey, it is okay to do this with my kids, but it's not okay to do this with my kids. And she was so good about it. And that's okay to tell your babysitter, like, hey, these are our ground rules. This is what we do. We do timeouts instead of spanking. We take away privileges, there's consequences, and stuff like that. So as a parent, it's okay to tell your babysitter, hey, this is how I want you to enforce rules in the home. And as the babysitter, it is very appropriate to ask the parent, hey, how do you enforce the rules in your home, and what is your expectations of me?
As the babysitter, if the parent doesn't lay down any guidelines for you in maintaining consistency and discipline, to just kind of be bold and say, hey, if your kid acts up, what do you want me to do?
Just to help enforce that, help enforce the guidelines. Tip number 2 is the cleaning tip. Okay, so when I used to babysit, I would go to the home, and my motto was always leave the home cleaner than what you found it. But coming from the parent standpoint, to be fair, when I go to get a babysitter, I think it's nice to have my home already clean before the babysitter gets there, because a clean home is a happy home, and I don't really want to invite somebody into my home that has to basically look at my dirty dishes on all my dirty laundry. Literally. Yeah, hopefully it's clean. You hope it's clean. With Lauren, one of the things that she did, she always maintained my home. She cleaned my home, she helped my home, and she always left it better than what she found it. But it's not always the expectation that we should just leave a giant mess and then have you guys come in or the babysitter come in and just clean the entire house.
I would always leave it better than I found it, or I would try to. Thanks. Say you're in a home that they don't take care of the house. Their house is a disaster. Don't go cleaning it for them. No. Don't go cleaning it for them just because someone says, hey, clean the house that you go babysit at. It's just clean up what you make. Clean the mess you make. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Clean as you go. If the babysitter's there and makes dinner for the family, just clean up after dinner. Clean up the mess, clean up the dishes, just clean up what was there, and just make it look better. If the toys are out everywhere because of playtime and once the kids go to bed, just pick up the toys. That's our best tip we have for that. And then that way the babysitter hopefully doesn't feel like it's too unfair, and then the parent comes home to kind of either just a cleanish house, a little better than what they left it.
Like if the parents are home and like, oh crap, I didn't clean, don't feel bad. Things happen.
And that's such a big relief, because a lot of times, there's been times when I've almost canceled getting a babysitter because I had so much going on and I didn't want to invite them over into my dirty, cluttered house. So sometimes you can even set the ground rules. Like I would just tell her, look, I know I left you a mess. Don't worry about cleaning it. It's all my fault. Like don't even worry about it. But when I was a babysitter, I always wanted to just go that little extra step just to kind of have them come home to a clean home. And I tell you what, coming home to a clean home as the parent, it's like, yes, I will be calling you back to babysit, among other reasons.
It boosts that relationship.
Absolutely.
100%.
Which is awesome, which we'll talk about. Tip number 3, set the guidelines for cell phones.
Cell phones are a major distraction, and as a babysitter, you're not there to sit and watch your phone. You're there to sit and watch the babies. You're a babysitter, not a phone sitter.
But to be fair, sometimes you might be like a nighttime babysitter. Maybe you're going over for a late night, maybe they wanted to go on a late date, and you're literally just there while the kids are sleeping. That to me as a parent is an appropriate time to be on your phone, because what else are you gonna do? I mean, a lot of times you sit and watch Netflix, or a lot of times like I would set up Netflix for the babysitter and be like, here's some entertainment, because you're just sitting here while all of the kids are asleep. I'd make sure that there was something available for them, or if not, I would be like, hey, it's okay to have your phone. So our tip to you is, when the kids are awake, the phone is away. Just put the phone away. You can bring it with you, because of course you might need to call for an emergency, and you want to have a phone available in case you need to contact the parents. So definitely bring your phone with you, because a lot of times parents will like to check in too. So that's another thing you can just set up with the parent before you go. The babysitter can say this. I usually put my phone away, but if you need me, don't text me because I won't be available, but call me and my ringtone's up or something like that. That way you can still have that communication, but then you know the babysitter's not just babysitting the phone like she said. She's babysitting the kids, which as a parent is very reassuring to me. Tip number 4 is the babysitter and parent relationship. So this is really, really big to us, because Lauren's been my babysitter literally for 6 years.
Long time.
Long time. And I've actually moved out of the state since, and she still comes and travels to see me. She and I have built this relationship that is just now, it's so strong that we're more, it's a friendship now. And she's still the person that I would call if I absolutely couldn't use my family, or even if I could use my family, she's basically family. And so I would absolutely use her for like my serious babysitting, like my heavy duty babysitting, like traveling. So if you are parents, you want to go out of town and you need a babysitter to watch your kids like while you're on a vacation, this is your girl. Like, this is my girl. You can't have her.
No, I mean, call me.
She's my girl. You want to have that relationship so that you know who is with your kids. Basically, let them become like family. So we lived like 2 blocks away from each other, and so I'm not suggesting that you have to do this, but it's really awesome if you do.
That's great.
She would come over even when we didn't need a babysitter. She would come over and be with our family. She would come have dinner with us. She would spend time with us. We got to know her. We got to know her family. We just kind of became this, we kind of adopted her. We created, that's it, we created a new family unit. And so it was amazing. And I didn't even remember, I never even asked you how you even came about doing that.
You were cool.
Yes. See, that's tip number 6, bonus.
Be cool,
tip.
be a cool mom.
Be a cool mom and be a cool babysitter.
I think it's just that your kids were adorable. I wanted to spend all the time I could with your kids. Adorable. Like, I would die for their children. Annalie and her husband are awesome. And it was just, I just felt like going and helping sometimes.
She would come over and I would be making dinner and she'd be like, hey, how can I help? And she would go put my kids in the bathtub. She would go read books to my kids. She would go get them dressed, changed. She was just amazing. Now, I understand that not everybody's gonna have that chance.
No.
There's gonna be maybe some babysitters that maybe that's weird. Maybe that's not a tip that's gonna be helpful to you. But if it is, I definitely recommend it. And so that's why we put it in here as a tip, because that relationship is solid. It just helps. It helps so much. So tip number 5 is the one we saved last the best of all the game, and that is the discussion of payment. It's such controversy nowadays. Like, how do you pay a babysitter? I see so many things on Facebook that's like, what is the going rate for babysitters these days? Or so-and-so charges this much, is this appropriate? There's so many questions. And so we just wanted to give some tips about how to charge, because really I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but hopefully there's some tips to help you kind of figure that out. And one of the biggest things that I did when I hired her very first is I asked her, hey, what do you charge?
And when I'm asked that question, I don't ever give a number. I just go, money. I just want money. So I'm probably not the best example of that. It's good to just kind of know how much you want, basing the pay on how many kids there were, how difficult the kids were to
like ages,
be around.
Kids' ages.
The amount of time. Like if they're wanting me to babysit a whole weekend, it's gonna be a little bit higher.
And you're a student.
And I'm a student. I have work.
And you have a job, absolutely. Well, and not everybody's gonna have a job. Sometimes you're using young babysitters. So age, not only age of your children, but age of the babysitter matters too. Because I started using her when she was in high school. So she still had school, she still had to worry about homework, but at the time she didn't have a job. I like to look at it as, I wanna pay enough for their time, but I don't think that it should like break the bank. Like I don't think babysitters should be charging as much as they charge or as much as they make at their jobs that they're working at, like if they do have a job. I guess depending on what it is. That's why it's just such a gray area. So our tips for you in this section is to just ask, be upfront, and then just be like, hey, let's work out a deal. So I have 4 kids. So sometimes it might be like, okay, let's do like $2.50 per hour per kid for the ages of like 2 and older. And then the baby's gonna be more like $3 an hour because it's a baby and there's more involved. Something like that. One of the recommendations that I have as a parent is you wanna be asked to come back, right? As the babysitter.
Always.
You want, and like parents will find babysitters, if you're a really, really good babysitter, parents will ask for you to come back. A lot of times I recommend to babysitters, no kidding, have a punch card as the babysitter. And I'm not saying that so the babysitter doesn't get money, but maybe say like, I will babysit for you 10 times and the 11th time is half off or something. Because I get that you as babysitters, you guys need money. You guys are doing this because, and you're not really, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not a full-time, it's not as much as you'd make it a job. So I'm not suggesting that in the sense of that you don't get paid, but do some sort of incentive besides just like selling, like, because the way that I, as a parent, come back to a babysitter is a couple things. Our relationship, how we interact with one another, how she is with the family, the relationship with the kids, how she interacts with the kids. My home is the least. Like if she doesn't clean my home, I would rather come home to my kids alive and well and loved than my home being clean. So that's important, but not at the top of the list. So I base it off of all of those things, and then it's like, okay, you were really, really good. My kids love you. I love you. You're going to be coming back anyway, but if there's a lot of competition, consider a punch card.
As a babysitter, having that punch card, I feel like that kind of puts you ahead. Like, oh, if they're doing this, then, and everyone else charges me full price all the time, but you're offering me a time where it's not as much, and I feel like that's really gonna kind of set you ahead, especially if you're wanting to work with that family. If you like the family, as the babysitter, if you like the family and you're like, wait, I want to keep babysitting for you, but I know that there's like 5 other girls in my neighborhood that want to babysit for you, you got to do something to kind of get that edge. It's a competitive world. Very competitive.
It's a babysitter world out there, guys.
Live or die.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
So there's 5 tips right there that will hopefully be helpful to you as the parent and the babysitter, depending on who you are watching this video, or maybe you're the parent of a babysitter.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. That's our 5 tips that we have that we sat down and brought to you guys that will hopefully help you guys.
Be kind.
Yes,
love
always.
Children.
Yes.
Always.
It's so important because kids, sometimes other people's children are hard.
Yes.
Like my kids can be hard.
Yes.
I will be the first to admit my kids can be little turds, but we have that relationship, we have the consistency. That's the other thing, going back to the relationship. If something is uncomfortable or hard, or you have to deal with a difficult situation, if you have that relationship established, then you can have those hard conversations. She can come to me and say something, hey, your kids were really, really hard tonight. Like I really feel like I worked hard. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more money than what we talked about. And then I can say, hey, I know we talked about some rule consistency, but I was a little bit, I disagreed with how you disciplined my kids tonight. Something like that. Just form that relationship so that you can have that open conversation with each other, because this one, she can tell me anything.
Yes.
She can tell me anything she needs to. Wrapping up, that was our 5 tips. Speaking of kids, it's time to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, if you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions, I love to learn. That's what this channel is all about. So if you are a babysitter, leave me a comment down below and give me your best babysitting advice. If you're a parent and you have advice, please leave me some advice down below, because I'm always trying to learn and be better at doing all of this. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
Bye!
You scared?
Don't worry, I got this.
Who's talking to me?
Oh. Hey! And then
Welcome! Too much?
Oh, I know.
I gotta be peppy, remember?
Welcome!
And you're looking at the lens, right?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
Make your voice go towards the lens.
Yes. Like, what are you? What are you to me?
I might
Okay.
be worth anything.
what are you?
Who am I? These are the real questions.
These are the truth. This is what this video
Who
is all
am
about.
I? Who are we?